In this section, we are going to talk about summarizing and describing different kinds of data distributions. So the first thing we want to talk about are the shapes of data distributions, and there are several that are common. The first one is a symmetric shape of a data distribution, and we've talked about symmetry before in this class, so you should know what a symmetric distribution would look like. It would be one where we could draw kind of a line down the middle and fold it in on itself. Now, is it exactly symmetric? No, but there's an approximate symmetry to our data distribution. So that's one of the shapes. Another shape in contrast to that is bimodal. And you see the prefix bi in this description of a data distribution. So you should think about two. And you also see the word modal, mode. We talked about the mode. So two modes. In other words, two relative maximum pieces of data. So in this situation, we're going to have two kinds of hills in our data with kind of a valley in between. So that is bimodal. The next two can be a little confusing for some students, so I want to help to clarify this. The first one is called left skew, and the second one is right skew. Now, the reason it's confusing is because the left skew has the hill or the maximum or most of the data on the right, but it is called left skew. The right skew has most of the data on the left. So that can be confusing. So let me see if I can help you to think about why these are called left skew and right skew. And it has to do with the relationship between the mean, the median, and the mode. So you'll see here that in our left skew or negative skew graph, we've got this tail on the left. And then if that helps you remember, the tail is on the left for left skew. That's great. Whatever you can use to remember this. The other thing you can remember is the mean is to the left of the median and the mode. So the mean is to the left. It's skewed to the left of the median and the mode. I don't know if that helps, but it's one way to remember it. Similarly, the right skewed has a tail to the right, and the mean is to the right of the median and the mode in a right skewed graph. But just be careful because you might see a big hump of data collected, or most of the data collected on the left, or I'm sorry, on the right, and you might think right skew. No, it is a left skew graph because there is a tail on the left. And right skew graph has a tail on the right, and the mean is to the right of the median and the mode. Okay, so that's left and right skew. So one last thing I want to talk about in terms of shape of data. Coming up in a future video, we will be talking about data displacement or spread from center. So we've talked about finding a measure of center, but we also want to talk about how spread out that data is from the mean, right? So here we have two graphs of the percentage of people voting yes in an election. And the top one is showing 200 people voting, and the bottom one is showing 400 people voting. And what we could say about these graphs, they're both showing people voting, but what we could say is that the top graph is more spread out than the bottom graph. And that's another way of looking at data. How spread out is the data? So those are the kinds of things we're going to talk about in this section: the shape of the data and the spread of our data.